future. Dr. Dan Gilbert.
That are not deserving of places on the big screen or in the world around you.
Think about past, present, and future.
Writer and civil rights activist James Baldwin once wrote, "The story of the Black man in America is the story of America. It is not a pretty story." These words remind us that the media we consume, books, music, and film, have always been a reflection of the truths of our lives. Baldwin understood this, and so did the filmmakers whose works I'll be discussing today. Black popular culture has never been just entertainment. It's a way for us to tell the stories we define ourselves by and capture our history and essence. How many of us tuned into the Drake and Kendrick beef, or were shocked to see Beyonce win Album of the Year with Cowboy Carter? From LeBron James and Simone Biles dominating their respective sports to Jordan Peele redefining modern horror, Black voices shape every corner of culture, giving audiences tools to reflect, empathize, and understand experiences they may have not lived themselves. Today, I want to focus on Black voices in cinema, specifically by dissecting two films, Moonlight and Waves. These films aren't just stories, they're questions. Questions about identity, family, resilience, and what it means to navigate a world that doesn't always make space for you. Film moves us in ways words alone often can't. It makes us feel seen, but it also asks us to see others. Directed by Barry Jenkins, Moonlight won the Academy Award for Best Picture in 2017 and is told in 3 chapters: childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. It follows Chiron, a young Black boy growing up in a poor Miami neighborhood. But it's more than just a coming-of-age story. It's a story about survival, about trying to find yourself in a world that insists on telling you who you are. From the very first chapter, we see Chiron struggle with feeling out of place in his own skin. Bullied for his quietness, his queerness, and his circumstances, he carries the weight of a world that refuses to let him be. When Chiron internally questions, "Who am I?" and literally asks, "How do I know?" it's a question many of us have asked ourselves before. But for Chiron, it's layered with questions of family, identity, and survival. What makes Moonlight especially powerful is its honesty. It doesn't sugarcoat the difficulties of Black life, but it also doesn't just reduce it to pain. Instead, it shows resilience. From his complicated relationship with his mother to moments of tenderness and care from a local drug dealer named Juan, Chiron's story invites us into his vulnerability and challenges us to see beyond the stereotypes imposed by society. Moonlight also stands on the shoulders of films that came before it, movies that broke ground by showing the beauty and complexity of Black life. They reminded audiences that Black stories are not monolithic. They're as diverse as the people they represent. If Moonlight is a quiet meditation, Trey Edward Schultz's Waves is an emotional roller coaster. The film is divided into 2 halves. The first follows Tyler, a high school athlete under unbeatable pressure from his father. His life goes on a downward spiral after he breaks up with his girlfriend, and an injury takes him out of wrestling, the one thing that gave him his father's approval. This part of the film feels almost suffocating. Tyler's story is one of pain, frustration, and collapse. But then, by the second half of the film, it shifts to Emily, Tyler's sister, as she quietly picks up the pieces of her family after Tyler's tragedy. Her story is one of healing, though she admits, "I'm still angry." And who could blame her? Waves doesn't shy away from the complexities of Black family life. The unspoken pressures, the weight of expectations, and the way love can both heal and hurt. The film's soundtrack, featuring artists like Frank Ocean and Kanye West, amplifies these emotions. It connects the story to the cultural heartbeat of Black youth today. The music, the vibrant cinematography, and the raw performances all work together to create something that feels deeply personal, yet universal. Where Tyler's story leaves us heartbroken, Emily's reminds us of the possibility of growth. But even in that growth, Waves doesn't ignore the lingering question. Why is there so much pressure on Black youth to be perfect? Or as Tyler's father claims, work 10 times as hard to be perfect? Why are we not afforded the privilege of being average? Moonlight and Waves are only 2 examples of how Black storytelling continues to evolve. These films build on the legacies of earlier works like The Color Purple, Do the Right Thing, and Boys in the Hood, while carving out new spaces for conversations about family, identity, and justice. They remind us that Black voices in cinema matter. They challenge us to see the world through someone else's eyes, to step into experiences that might be different from our own and to carry those lessons into our lives. But watching these films isn't enough. They ask us to do more, to reflect on what we're doing to make our communities better, more empathetic, and more inclusive. So, how can we engage? Educate yourself and others. Have a conversation with someone who, at least on the surface, is different from you. Step outside of your bubble. Films like Moonlight and Waves are windows into larger societal questions like systematic racism and mental health. Use them as starting points to learn, ask questions, and have discussions that matter about why it's essential for everyone to see themselves reflected in film, because art imitates life. Black storytelling has a power to help us bridge gaps that often feel insurmountable. I've found pieces of myself in films like Moonlight and Waves, but I've also seen reflections of struggles and triumphs I haven't experienced. That's the beauty of cinema. It creates a shared space for connection. In a world that too often oversimplifies and dehumanizes Black experiences, these films remind us of our complexity, our humanity, and our resilience. So, the next time you tune into a film like Moonlight or Waves, don't just watch while mindlessly scrolling away on your phone. Listen, learn, and ask yourself, how can I carry the spirit of these films into the world around me? Because when we allow storytelling to connect us, we don't just change the way we see others, we change the way we view ourselves. Thank you.